Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Stephen Mcnulty is from my name, from a company called Ambisense. By way of background, this time 2 years ago, Ambisense was a small R&D project working at the end of a bench in university in Dublin. Funded originally by the Irish EPA, looking to solve what's actually quite a serious problem. And that problem is that landfill gas represents about 3% of total global warming. And although we have fantastic ideas around circular economy and much more sustainable solutions for waste management in this part of the world, that's not the case on a global basis, and landfill is still the number one solution and will remain so for the foreseeable future. But the tools that industry can use to try and deal with this problem are really poor. So effectively what you've got is a sample technician with a handheld meter who traverses quite a large site, taking spot monitoring readings and trying to understand what's happening on the site. And with so many variables at play in a landfill, it's really, really difficult to do that. So that's where we come in. So this is Ambisense, and I can't tell you what a joy this is to bring through airport security once a week. It's fantastic. But what we've developed is a solar powered gas analyzer that can be deployed in any location. It uses a simple GSM network connection to relay the data back to a central location. So we can provide a much higher quality gas data, and we can reduce the manpower costs associated with grabbing the data, which is a massive part of the cost. So what effectively we can do is we can act as an early warning detection system, so we can find the problem as soon as it happens. B, we can quantify it, so we know how serious the migration problem is. And C, which is more interesting, is we can actually overlay our data with the site-specific data to try and understand why the problem is happening. So on the bottom two graphs is from a deployment we have in Cork, where we deployed an instrument for a number of months, and we're able to show a clear correlation between precipitation and gas migration. So now the landfill owner gets data from our system, and he also gets data also in our system from local meteorological conditions, so he can be aware of the likely breach which will take place in the future. And I guess that's really what you get from using continuous monitoring technology. So in terms of the customer benefits for landfill gas, so the first one is pretty much what I've said. It's the ability to reduce the global warming impact by solving the problem. The second one is a manpower saving, and that's incredibly important in this part of the world where the landfill sector is quite mature, and there's a huge number of sites. I mean, there's 369 sites on SEPA's system at the moment, and thought to be many thousands of others in Scotland, all of which require some form of monitoring. And how do you do that into the future when you don't have the people around? Well, you've got to use equipment like ours. And we can also accelerate site remediation. So when the site is finished, it's no longer profitable, the doors are closed, the site operator is motivated to get the status of the facility changed so they can reduce some of the ongoing costs. And rightly, the regulator will insist on quite a lot of information before they'll deem it that the risk is safe. And so traditionally, to gather that data with spot monitoring equipment was expensive and took years, but with a piece of technology like ours, the data can be gathered in a matter of months, and the site can move on. And those three top points are what we call the compliance side of our business. And I guess from an investment perspective, it can be difficult to build and scale a business that's just about providing a better compliance tool. It's an argument you can make, but it can be quite difficult to move an industry away from that. So we've always looked for a more commercial use for our technology. And I guess the reason why we decided to spin it out ultimately last year, and why we were successful in raising a seed round just towards the end of last year, was because we've spotted a niche which we think is quite important. So within landfill, you'll probably be aware a major, pretty much the best solution for landfill gas is to burn it in an engine. It's a massive part of the renewable energy mix. 27% of the UK's renewable power currently comes from landfill gas. And so it's a massive opportunity to try and increase the efficiency of those operations. And the reason why that's a problem is because the sheer number of variables on a landfill really mean that the gas quality varies quite a lot from hour to hour, from day to day. And so the way the industry deals with that, is to deploy guys to walk around the site and take readings. but they don't understand what's happening from a systematic perspective, and they don't capture enough data to be able to understand the parts of the site that are profitable, where good gas is coming from, and the parts of the sites that are longer viable. So we can pretty much go in with a solar panel technology and install our instruments across the field, and then help the operator understand, okay, how do I get the very best out of this particular facility? And because it's quite a low cost technology, it's not a capex spend of any note really. If we can generate efficiencies of 5-10%, then the payback from using our technology can be measured in months rather than years. And then finally, on that same point then, because we've got the ability to deploy the technology anywhere on the gas field, we can be a really good modelling partner. So we can help to go in where projects are being proposed, and we can we can more accurately explain what's happening on the site and give the funding body a less risky proposal to look at, because it's based on real data. So in terms of traction, you'll tell from the accent that our origins are Ireland, so understandably we've focused there. We've launched a product into the UK market this year. We have some deployments in Norfolk, as you can see, and in Loughborough, and we've previously done a project with Zero Waste Scotland on Auchinleigh landfill. Quite recently we've signed a distribution agreement in Australia, and we had a very great pleasure of spending 2 weeks on a swine effluent lagoon in Brazil. Cleantech is amazing, isn't it? It's just, no Silicon Valley for us, absolutely not. So why are we here? Well, we're primarily here to meet customers. I think we can do a lot for the local authority sector in Scotland, a huge number of landfills to try and manage, and we can do that in quite a cost-effective way. We love to talk to landfill gas operators. We know that they're right at the top of the curve, where they're looking for that last little piece of efficiency, and we can help get that in quite a low-risk fashion. And we're also looking to speak to environmental consultants. What we've got is a platform technology, so we're not necessarily a landfill company, and so we have a technology that can be used in lots of different areas, and working with environmental consultants can move us into contaminated land, can move us into shale oil and gas, and then we're interested in meeting other stakeholders, so local service partners, people who can resell the technology, people who can be distributors for us. We're also interested in talking to funding organisations who are looking at landfill projects. And then finally, we are looking at doing another investment round towards the mid part of next year. And that investment round, we hope, will be led in the UK, because that's where we see the scale of the business taking off, really. And what's all this to enable? Well, finally, we want to enter new market segments to move away from just being a landfill company, and then, of course, to expand internationally, looking towards the US, Canada, China, and pretty much larger countries around the world. Thank you.
Thank you.